is to get them off of the pond and get them to leave, and not be there, because they're kind of a nuisance to us. And I thought, wow, well, I wish we had them down there where they were a nuisance and we could hunt them. But I would sit there and listen to those geese, and just, it was just an enjoyment. Maybe that's why I became a woodcarver. Maybe that's, well, I mean, I was whittling at that time, but maybe that's why I enjoyed so much, is to the serenity of being able to sit and enjoy just being by yourself and doing those things. I took a man to Houston the other day, and Houston is a huge city of like 4 million people. And we were in the VA hospital. The VA hospital up there, he was going to the VA hospital and needs someone to take him. So I was taking him. And the VA hospital was huge. I mean, it was just, oh gosh, it was big. People everywhere and stuff. And I walked my whittling stuff, and while he was getting CAT scans and stuff, I was sitting there whittling. And it's a different type of people. People were rushing around, and listen, I understand, and I know they're doing their job. But it's kind of sad that people don't stop on these days, and I guess they can't. They've got so many patients and stuff, they can't. But I just sat there and I whittled, and I kind of forgot about what was going on. And every once in a while somebody would come by and say, wow, that's neat, and stuff. And I was just wasting time, waiting for him to get all his tests done and other things and stuff. And that's the joy of carving. I can take, of sitting just like here. Now I bring my little fishing box, and I let all my chips fall inside my fishing box with my other knives and stuff. And then when I come home, I empty my fishing box. I just empty it. But what a joy whittling has brought to my life, and the joy that it has, really, more than anything in the world. And so that was and I do that whenever I have to take somebody somewhere or whatever now, because one day I may have to be taken somewhere, and because of sickness or illness, I don't know what the Lord holds for me. But it's just I know it's a small thing, but it is such a joy and a great thing to enjoy sitting and just sort of losing yourself amongst all the hectic and the issues of today. And that's what whittling has always meant to me. Maybe it's a sort of escape for us. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's wanting to relive a simpler time. I don't know. But I do know this. It brings a lot of joy in our lives. And in my life it does. I mean, I don't know about yours. It brings a lot of joy in my life. And it really, brings a lot to the table, as we commonly say. A lot. And so I look at the things that we have today, like the computers and what can be done, and I tell you, medicine has come so far, and people are staying alive and a lot longer and stuff. But I know the cost is expensive and stuff. But the changes that have been made are good and bad. And that's the thing, is we have to understand, we have to take the good with the bad. And I know right now this is election year, and there's a big fight going on, and about who can be the president or who can do this and who can do that. And it's going to get pretty intense, I have a feeling, and stuff. But just reflect about maybe what your life was like when you first started. I know a lot of people are young. They haven't had a lot of experience in life. And don't worry, life's going to give you that experience. And like I said, some good, some bad. I talked to a friend of mine who was dying of acute myeloid leukemia. And I got a call, and he told me, he said, I want to talk to you. What he was doing, he was telling me goodbye. He hasn't passed yet, but I feel that the doctors have probably, his son told me the doctors can't do anything else for him. And he told me he's 72. And it brought tears to my eyes trying to think about my good friend. But I know that maybe that one day that will be me. And he just wanted to speak to me and asked me to be a pallbearer. And I said yes, not even thinking that, heck, I'll have to go rent a suit. I don't even have a suit. I had some suits and I lost them all in Harvey. And I think I found a place, I think, where you can rent them if I can get it quick enough and stuff. It shows you how quickly life can change and how it can be a real issue. Stuff. But yeah, I think about those times my daddy would take us out fishing. And there goes a few fireworks off in the distance. People are starting to, you know, I guess tonight, like I said, they'll probably be firing them more than anything. But and all that my dad went through in the war. You just think about those things, and it brings you back to a simpler time. And I think that's what we love about whittling and carving. It brings us back to a simpler time. A simpler time of when things were a little bit easier. There's a place in Texas called Jefferson, Texas. It's a little unique little town that they have, and they have a square in the middle of town. Now, many young people don't remember what a square was. It was a place where people met and sat, carved, whittled, talked. A lot of men back then, their whittling was simply whittling on a stick. But these men would meet in these squares, and they would talk politics, they would talk many, many things. And they have one up there in Jefferson. They've rebuilt it. And it's a square where they actually have benches and seats where you can go in the middle of town and sit. If you just want to sit and watch the birds and stuff like that, you can do that. If you want to go and sit and play, they used to play checkers, dominoes, all those types of games. They would go in the center of town and do that. And Jefferson has restored their center like that, where people can simply do that. And a lot of the people in town still do it. They'll go out there, you know, usually in the afternoon, because it's been so hot in Texas, and they'll sit in the square, and that's where people would meet for current events, because people only had newspapers back then. I used to help a friend of mine deliver newspapers. We would deliver them to people's houses. And there's some birds making some noises. And we had paper boys. Many of you that remember that. But people don't have papers anymore because they have computers that they can look up anything they want to now. They don't need paper boys and they don't need papers. In fact, we still have a paper down here, but we don't sell many of them. It's their because people just don't read newspapers anymore. They don't have to, and then they can go online and read them if they want to. Like the stock Wall Street Journal. People can go on and read the Wall Street Journal. Man, that was a big paper that people read a lot, in other words, and stuff like that. So it was a very unique thing. But they would we would deliver the papers, and then they would sell them on newsstands and all that stuff. And so I think, like I said, I think that whittling and carving brings a person back, and that's one of the great enjoyments of it, to a simpler time in their life. I know when people see you whittling or they see you carving, they often tell you, my grandpa did that, or I had a dad or an uncle that used to whittle and carve, and they did it with a pocket knife most of the time, but their eyes would light up as they would begin to think about that uncle or that dad or that grandpa or whatever it was that would just sit there and whittle and carve. And so I think that we as whittlers and carvers, I know this sounds a little corny, but we're bringing back, when you're doing this in front of people, you're bringing back a little bit of history to the world. People see it and think about those old times, and I don't know how many people have told me, boy, I had a grandpa that whittled. I had a friend that whittled. I had but they're gone now. There's really no purpose for to a lot of people to even whittle anymore, unless you just do it for enjoyment. So as you reflect on the 4th and as you reflect on those things, I think we give people just a very good sense, and that's why I think a lot of people will go and look at you and go, what you doing? He's whittling, he's carving, look. I've had people do that, like I'd be sitting over somewhere in just a chair or something somewhere. Look at him. She would tell their children. I've heard kids. I've sat in the streets of Gatlinburg sometimes and just whittle and hand out my cards on people that want to learn how to whittle on the YouTube videos. And little kids would walk by and they say, "Mommy, what's he doing?" And you're not trying to show off. You're just trying to get people interested in it. Hey, this stuff still exists. And the kids would go, "Mommy, what's he doing?" "Oh, honey, he's carving, he's whittling." "What's that?" And you could hear them. "What's that, Mommy?" "Well, he does that with a knife." The little kids would walk up there just fascinated to you and look at you. And see the way I'm doing my hat, a lot of my hats now, like it's kind of on top of the head. I like them like that. And they would they just talk about, and well, how do you do that? And kids would come up, "What are you doing?" So as we do this, and as we carve, we're bringing back a little bit of nostalgia to the world, and I think it's a good thing. And we're not trying to show off. We're just trying to show a more peaceful time, because when you get into Gatlinburg and places like that, Pigeon Forge, oh my goodness, the people are everywhere and everybody's rushing around trying to have a good time and stuff like that. And then they see you sitting there just as calm as can be. And I mean, I listen to some of these people as they go by. I can whittle and listen to people and say, oh, we need to go do this, and we haven't gone there. It's a fast-paced society. We need to do this before the day's over. No. We got a plan now. We got to stick to that plan. And then they look over and they see somebody just sitting there, just calm as could be, willing, concentrating on a piece of wood and a figure you're carving or something, just like I'm doing now, just like this. And I think it makes them kind of just think, slow down, you know, there is always another day to see things. And people have asked, I used to do this sometimes when I was married and had a wife, and the kids would all want to go, and I would be tired of walking. I'd say, I'm going to sit down and whittle a little bit. Now, I got strange looks when I'm carrying around a fishing box. I go, what, are you going fishing? I said, no, that's my whittling stuff. Oh, okay. So it's a bit of nostalgia that you're bringing back to people, that of an earlier, simpler time when people sat down and didn't have to run around and get their, you know, like a chicken with their head cut off, and do the things that they do. I look at my 11-year-old granddaughter, and it's run here, run there. You know, it's be entertained. Because that's what they've grown up with. They have virtual reality, they have video games, they have that virtual reality, I mean, where they you know, I don't exactly know the whole thing about it, but they, you know, they put this thing on and they're looking through it, and all these games are going on and they're actually doing it and stuff. These kids, and is it wrong for them not to carve? No, I'm not saying that. But I think they do miss this very simpler time. The thing about this whittling, I can go anywhere. I can go sit in a park. I can go anywhere and sit down. And I know a lot of people look at me and think, wow, what's this guy wasting his time? But it's not a waste of time for me. And I know it's not a waste of time for a lot of you. It's just something that you love to do. And yeah, it's different. I have to admit, it's not for everybody, because it's not associated with our fast-paced society. But the people that do stop, the children that do stop, I have a card I give them. I give the parents that want to learn how to whittle. I have a channel. I don't make any money from it. But if you want to learn how to whittle, you know, and just kind of calm down. And I don't know, maybe it's our age too. We just want a slow pace, a little bit slower paced society. But you can do it anywhere, and you can have you a good time doing it. A real good time doing it. And I'm just doing the hair right now. So on this July 4th, we wanted to sit down and we wanted to talk about carving. We wanted to talk about whittling and what it means to us and why it's important that we do this. Because I'll tell you what, one of these days we're all going to die off and they're not going to be around anymore. And will the younger generation take it up? Maybe. I don't know. But I do know this. I don't think it will be as prevalent. And I know that progress, I know that things have to be taken up. That's what I'm saying. But if we can bring a little bit of nostalgia back to the world a little bit, then we've accomplished what we had to accomplish and do what we've had to do. And that's what I'm saying. That's what whittling means to me. It means just going back to a little bit different time in the world and enjoying myself. And all that other stuff. So, it's good that everybody has money. It's good that everybody can go have a good time. It's good that everybody can go to Disney World and do all the things. But I think it's also good that we show the world and the people around us that there is a simpler time. And maybe they won't disguise it. Maybe down deep they won't care. Maybe that's just the way they do. Maybe they don't care. But that's okay. Because we enjoy it. This is not an odd monologue or thing like that, but those are the things that I think about every year. I don't know, I may not even be here next July 4th. My age, anything could happen. But I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I can leave something with people when I do go. Leave some videos and maybe help somebody learn the old craft of doing this. Everywhere I go now, most places are taking up my